First, let's start with this case. Last night, after our Christmas gift exchange, my partner suggested we go to a popular restaurant near my house. They had previously mentioned that their ex worked there, but I trusted their judgment and didn't think much of it. When we arrived at the restaurant, I noticed a shift in my partner's demeanor. Before we got there, we had been affectionate and joking around, but as soon as we walked in, they became quiet and avoided making eye contact with me. They waved and said hi to their ex, who turned out to be our server. During the interactions with their ex, my partner didn't introduce me. I felt boxed out as their ex stood close to me, but directed their attention only to my partner, offering compliments and kindness. It made me feel invisible and uncomfortable. After we placed our orders, my partner asked if I was okay and if there was anything they could do. I admitted I felt uncomfortable, but didn't suggest leaving because I thought it might make the situation even more awkward. I was also waiting for a simple introduction to help ease the tension, but it never came. Later, when their ex asked if we wanted separate checks, it reinforced my feeling that the situation didn't appear like a date. I felt sidelined and increasingly uneasy, but decided to wait until after the meal to bring it up. Once we left, I explained how I felt. I told my partner that their change in energy, lack of an introduction, and overall behavior made me feel hidden and uncomfortable. My partner got upset, saying I should have been open about my discomfort earlier instead of expecting them to read my mind. They explained that seeing their ex caught them off guard and that they hadn't expected the situation to be awkward. They said they didn't want to introduce me because they felt it might make their ex uncomfortable, since my partner had been the one to end the relationship. However, I felt this decision prioritized their ex's comfort over mine, leaving me feeling sidelined. My partner felt I was ignoring their discomfort and failing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Meanwhile, I felt like my own feelings were being dismissed, and that I shouldn't have been put in this situation in the first place. We ended the conversation with my partner saying they needed time to process everything. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. Because why did he even pick there knowing she works there and then get all awkward when, she works there? I'd honestly be done after that, because obviously that person still matters too much to him. You're not in the wrong. They deliberately took you to the place where their ex worked and then didn't treat you like a date. Don't let them push this on you. They wanted to show up where their ex worked with someone new, but then once they did, they thought twice about it. And yes, their ex's feelings were more important than yours. You're not in the wrong. This is a very typical power move. You might have been used to make the waiter jealous. As someone who's been in this situation, no, it's not your job to speak up and introduce yourself. If you have to go this far, that shows your partner essentially forgot about you or that you weren't their main focus. On your date night, if that doesn't fill you with rage, then your partner gaslighting you should. I would have a conversation and let them know how you feel and how your partner ignoring you on your date is never your fault. Next up, I haven't been sleeping well lately. And the night before this incident, a family member told me they'd be up early, making a lot of noise while doing some last-minute cleaning before the holiday. My plan was to wake up around the same time as them, tackle my own holiday prep, double-check and wrap gifts, and throw dinner together in the crock-pot. Unfortunately, I ended up getting maybe 3 hours of sleep due to my wife's alarm for work, other family members' sleep schedules, and various animals needing to go outside during the night. Normally, this wouldn't be a huge issue, but there are a few key factors that make sleep deprivation especially difficult for me. I have seizures, and exhaustion is a major trigger. This wasn't the first time this week that I've struggled to get more than a few hours of sleep. I've been having seizures again recently, and my family is worried about why. I've been taking my meds on time, and there haven't been any changes to my diet or other medications. Knowing all this, I decided to get a small nap before starting my day. I was aware the house would probably get noisy soon, so I put in some earplugs to block out the sound and try to rest. I didn't think I needed to tell anyone because I wasn't supposed to help with anything urgent. And in the past, when I've slept in, my family has just teased me a little, and we've moved on with the day. However, I woke up to someone pounding on my bedroom door and screaming my name. They only stopped when I yelled back, after trying to respond normally and apparently not being heard. I checked my phone and saw that I had a dozen missed texts within the span of 5 minutes, all asking if I was okay and whether they could vacuum. Now they're throwing and banging things outside my door, yelling at the animals and sighing loudly in that exaggerated way that clearly signals they want me to ask what's wrong. I feel completely trapped. I can't go back to sleep, and although I have so much to do before the holiday, I feel like leaving the room will result in me getting screamed at again. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. Your family, however, is. First and foremost, get some more sleep. Then tell your family the reason for your increased seizures is from sleep deprivation, and list out each way they have caused you to lose sleep in the last few days or weeks. It's Festivus after all. May as well air all the grievances. But seriously and most importantly, please always put your health first. Seizures are no joke. I would announce to everyone involved that you are an adult and won't be asking anyone's permission to take a nap. Sleep deprivation is a serious problem. I suffer from severe sleep deprivation. Besides causing seizures, it also can cause sleepwalking, hallucinations, and a long list of other things. Make a group chat and send them all one short and sweet message. Then dig your heels in. No one is in the wrong. It's extremely important to be able to put your phone on silent and turn off the outside world, not only for rest, but also just general mental health. So your actions are fine. Meanwhile, it sounds like you didn't communicate that you were no longer going to get up early. So it's not crazy that they were wondering where you were, wondering why you weren't up when they thought you'd be, etc. And it might have seemed from their perspective like you were just having a lazy day. On top of that, it sounds like you have medical issues, so that's all the more reason to check on you when you weren't responding at a time when they expected you to respond. Yes, they were loudly banging, but it sounds like they tried the quieter ways to reach you, and it wasn't working. Just sounds like a mix-up. Next up, my husband, 31 and 38, have lived in our house for 6 years. We don't have a garage and share a driveway with neighbors we adore. We typically host a few big parties each year. This year has been tough, with mental health struggles and significant losses. So last night's big family gathering was refreshing. It felt good to have the house decorated and filled with loved ones again. Most of our guests parked behind the house, which was convenient since many had kids and gifts to load up when it was time to leave. I helped my 80-year-old grandmother get into her daughter's car and then went back inside. Meanwhile, my husband was outside helping his sister and brother-in-law load up their 3 daughters, 8, 6, and 4. Suddenly, our neighbor across the street came charging up our driveway, screaming about headlights shining into her front window. Her husband was yelling from across the street, backing her up. The kids were visibly upset and started crying when the woman stormed up to our porch. The kids' parents shouted back, mostly asking her to calm down and stop yelling. They had turned their headlights off as soon as they realized what the issue was. But that wasn't enough for the neighbors. The husband, still on his porch, yelled that even the parking lights were too bright. He even added, "Are you too stupid to work your own car?" The situation escalated with some back and forth yelling. My husband, in his usual sassy but calm way, told her with a smile to get off our porch and go home because her screaming was making the departure take longer. He added that if she wanted to call the cops, she could, but this was the last car leaving. I can see their house from where I'm typing this. They don't have a single curtain or blind in their front window. They were upset because headlights from our driveway had apparently been blinding them while they were trying to watch TV. According to them, this had been going on for 30 minutes with cars coming and going. Edit. I checked the footage from our security camera. Most cars had their lights on for less than a minute. 4 or 5 cars left straight away, and only 2 paused in the driveway. One turned off its lights immediately after hearing the neighbor's complaint. The other car turned its lights off as soon as they understood what the yelling was about. By that time, the neighbors were still complaining about the parking lights being too bright and yelling insults at the driver. Update. It's now the night after the incident. I walked outside to see what they were dealing with, and from my sidewalk, I can clearly see through their front window. Their TV is mounted on the wall facing the street, and their house still has no window treatments at all. Interestingly, I can also see straight through their back window. Maybe they just don't like curtains. Let's start judging. The neighbors across the way are probably often bothered by this reasonably or not. Except they don't tell you. They complain to each other, have mental arguments with you in their head, let it build, and then finally it blows up. It's the first time they are telling you, but for them, it's like the final straw. Too often, the final straw for some people is the first straw for the person who has been irritating them. People ought to use their words and not let things go that they aren't actually letting go. What they should have done is simply walked over and said, "Hey, do you mind turning off the lights until you are ready to leave?" You're not in the wrong. You're not in the wrong. It's your driveway, and you were just helping family load up after a party. Not exactly a wild crime spree. The neighbor's reaction was completely over the top. If headlights were an issue, they could have calmly mentioned it instead of storming over and yelling at kids and grandparents. Also, no curtains or blinds? That's on them, not you. It's unreasonable to expect everyone else to cater to their TV-watching needs when you're just using your own property as intended. Your husband handled it well. My living room window faces an active park across the street. There are car lights all the time from people coming and going. You know what I did after it was built and noticed the lights? I bought better curtains. The idea that I could possibly try to control other people's perfectly normal and legal behavior never occurred to me. You're not in the wrong. Next up, this year my daughter wanted to participate in our country's version of Angel Tree. I happily agreed but suggested that for every gift we bought for the child on the list, she could donate one toy from her own collection. The toys she donated wouldn't go to the Angel Tree child, but to a local daycare that had requested used toy donations for their playroom. My daughter eagerly agreed to this idea and chose 3 of her least favorite toys to give away. We shopped for the toys and other items on the child's list and wrapped everything together. I made it a festive activity. We played Christmas carols, had holiday snacks, and talked about why helping others is important. I wanted it to be a positive and meaningful experience for her. Yesterday, we attended my family's Christmas celebration. My daughter excitedly told my mother, 52, about donating her toys and buying gifts for another child in need. To my surprise, my mother was outraged. She accused me of forcing my daughter to donate her toys and said I was being harmful by instilling a dislike for charity in her. My sister joined in, agreeing with my mother and saying it wasn't fair of me to make my child give up her own belongings in order to participate in charity. I tried to explain that I was teaching my daughter that donating to others often involves a personal sacrifice and that the reward comes from knowing you've done good for someone else. My daughter has plenty of toys and received more than 3 new ones this Christmas, ones she preferred over the ones she gave away. The argument dragged on, and I ended up feeling berated for nearly an hour. I left the family gathering feeling emotional and upset. My daughter was confused because she thought she had done a good thing by donating her toys, but she also saw that I was crying on the way home, which upset her. Edit, I realize now that condition might not have been the right word to describe the situation. My daughter asked to participate in the Angel Tree program, and I suggested she donate a few toys to the local daycare at the same time. She enthusiastically agreed and had complete control over which toys to donate. We were overdue for a toy decluttering anyway, and this gave her the opportunity to decide which toys to part with, while also feeling like she was helping others. If she had refused, I wouldn't have pushed her to donate. We still would have participated in the Angel Tree program regardless. Let's start judging. You're not in the wrong. I love you for doing this. When I was a kid, my parents had us round up and donate all our old toys that we no longer wanted or played with. We felt so good and purposeful and helpful, knowing that we were giving other kids toys and making them happy. It made us kids feel like such good little people. We were proud of ourselves. I remember that feeling vividly. One of my formative memories is selecting a spinning Mulan character top from a McDonald's Happy Meal for the already full donation box, and I still feel good about it when the memory pops up in my 30s. Your daughter probably felt that same pride welling up in her. She made other kids happy. What a wonderful little girl she knows she is to share and be generous, and to get rid of old toys in a way that isn't wasteful. I'm so sorry that your family spoiled that positive experience for you and your daughter. If someone had taken that proud, good feeling away from me as a kid, I'd have been distraught. Seeing from both your and your child's perspective, you're not in the wrong at all. You're not in the wrong. Your family is claiming the right to parent your daughter. Your daughter was perfectly happy before their meddling. I suggest giving them some serious consequences for this, so that maybe they'll think before meddling again. I'm not judging you, but I guess I don't understand the connection you were trying to draw for your daughter. Why would you put a condition on charitable giving? I don't understand saying to a child, "I will only buy toys for another child if you willingly give away some of your own toys." I mean, objectively, both are good things to do, and it's nice that your daughter was eager to do both, but why the need to set up some guardrails for charity? To me, they are separate conversations.